So far this year, it has been a very frustrating time for a small boat sailor. Too much wind, too little wind, too cold, too wet, and sometimes all at the same time. It seems so long ago that these photos of me sailing Naiad were taken as the fleet returned from Heybridge Basin to our moorings at West Mersea. I've managed to get down to Naiad once a month on average since Christmas, but mainly just for maintenance visits and to check the mooring lines. I did manage to get her scrubbed very early one morning in February. High water was at 5 a.m, meaning that I needed to leave home around 1 o'clock in order to drive to West Mersea, launch the dinghy, row out to Naiad and get her prepped for scrubbing, which meant getting her ready to sail in case anything happened. Then I could cast off the mooring and paddle Naiad to the hard, towing the dinghy behind. Nothing went wrong, fortunately, and Naiad grounded with a gentle bump close to the access slip. I'd put on my waders by this point and was able to hop over the side and pull her up the hard a little to stop her floating away. Not that there was any wind, but it pays to be safe. Then I had to get the minibus down to the hard so that I could use the headlights to illuminate the boat, and I set to scrubbing. No video of all of that, but I did manage to take a couple of photos once the work was completed. I'm always amazed at how little water Naiad needs in which to float. She's in about 12 to 18 inches of water in these photos, looking shiny and clean. Alas, 3 months later and she has grown a green fringe around her waterline, and I can see another scrubbing in the near future. Still, the forecast seemed to show that Saturday was possibly going to be a good sailing day, so I drove down to Naiad on the Friday afternoon in the pouring rain. Back on the boat again. First overnight of the season, with any luck. It's a fairly calm, peaceful evening, not very bright, and to be honest, the trip down here was dismal. Rained all the way down until I got to the Strood when it stopped raining, for which I was very grateful because that meant I rowed out and stayed dry. So the plan today is to go out for a sail tomorrow if the wind allows. So I've come down in the evening before because it's going to be a stupid o'clock start. Low water is around 3:40 in the morning and I need to be on my way by then to catch the last of the ebb tide to take me out through what will be a very narrow gap over there. It's not too bad now because we're just a little bit before high water, but tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the morning there's not going to be a lot of gap there, so never mind. The wind's forecast 3 to 4, perhaps 2 to 3, coming from the southwest-ish, swinging round to the south and then to the southeast by the end of the day, which should be a fairly good wind to take a trip up the Blackwater. So I'm going to try that tomorrow and see what happens. In the meantime, I've got the boat ready, cast off all but 2 of the mooring lines, taken away the bird netting, got everything ready, but I haven't taken the sail cover off yet because I won't know whether I'm actually going until tomorrow morning. So I've still got some daylight left, so I think what I'm going to do is replace the main halyards on the mainsail. They've been on for about 7 years and haven't been changed, so that's way longer than necessary. But first I've got to bail out the water in the bilge because my wonderful water container tipped over and all the water that was in there, as you can see there's not much left, is now in the bilge. So I'm going to have to bail that out and then do the halyards, and once that's done I shall turn in and get some sleep before a very early start. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. So this is the cheat way of replacing the halyards without taking the mast down or climbing up the mast. I've got the end, this is the throat halyard, the end of the throat halyard, and I've just loosely sewed it to the end of the new halyard. And this isn't very tight, this is just there to take the strain. And what I'm going to do is wrap some tape around the join there to keep the two in line. The idea is that you pull on the other end of the halyard, which then pulls this up through the block and back down the other side, and the twine that I've used to lace these two together takes the strain, and the tape, which I'll show you in a minute, just keeps the two ropes in line as they basically go through the block. Done one already, so let's see how this one goes. Here is the joint now taped with some self-amalgamating rubber tape, since I didn't have any electrician's tape with me. But as you can see, really that's just there to keep those two ropes in line. I've got the reel of cable down on the cockpit floor, and the trick here is not to pull the rope off the end, standing it upright and pulling it off the end, because all that's going to do is put a lot of twists into your rope. Instead, you pull it and let the rope unwind from the reel, and that way you don't get any twists in it. Well, not many anyway. So the halyard is the throat halyard. It has to go up to, probably can't see it very well from the video, but up to the block that's about 4 feet down from the top of the mast, through the block, and then down to this cleat here, which is the other end. So I can't do this and video it at the same time because I don't have enough hands. So I will put the video down and haul away and show you what it's like when it's done. I've pulled the new halyard up and through the block. Let me just see if I can expand this so you can see it more clearly. But the taped section is just there. A very big finger in the way there. So the tape section is just there. That's now coming down. If I pull on the free end, you can see it coming down the halyard, down the mast there. There's a couple of blocks at the base of the mast there to redirect the halyards. They then go through another lead block here and then through the cleat. So I shall put the video back down again so I can use both hands and finish the job. Oh, there we are, job done. Two new halyards, run without having to climb the mast or lower the mast. Nice easy job, and I'm quite pleased to have finally got it done, because the reel of rope has been cluttering up the boat since the beginning of the year when I first brought it down. I just haven't had time or the inclination, to be, if the truth be told, to actually do anything about it. I could have done it the last visit, but it was one of those visits where I came down to do some work on the boat and put the sails up. The foresails were still down in the cabin, so they needed to be put up. And I'd done that by, I don't know, something like 6 o'clock in the morning. It was such a nice day with a really decent breeze. So I slipped the mooring and went for a sail instead of doing the job which I have just done. Just as well I did, actually, because mid-morning, I suppose, getting on towards lunchtime, the wind started to get up really quite strong, and I had to come back fairly sharpish onto the mooring. And shortly after that, I could see the rain approaching, so I packed everything up, rowed ashore, got back to the car, packed everything away, stowed the dinghy, went and had a coffee, and just as I started on the way home, it poured with rain. It bucketed down. Wind was howling through the rigging on the boats that are out here. So it was a good decision, I think. But I had, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 hours of good sailing, and thoroughly enjoyed it. But because it was an unexpected sail, I hadn't expected to do it. Of course, I didn't bring any of the video equipment or whatnot with me, so didn't get any video of that. Not too sure that I'm going to get any tomorrow either, but we'll see how that goes. As I say, it's going to be an early start tomorrow. I expect to be getting up around 3, so despite the fact that there's still light and it's only just gone 8 o'clock, I'm going to go to bed. Plan B, have a cup of tea. There we are, just making one now. Still on the mooring, and it's just before 7 o'clock, or just gone 7 o'clock rather, and as you can see, virtually no wind, and at 3 o'clock this morning there was no wind at all. So I went back to bed. I had a lovely sleep. Now the tide is flooding quite strongly into the fleet, and there's not enough wind to go sailing anywhere, so I'm going to have a cup of tea, maybe do some work on the boat, and then pack her up and go home. Oh, kettle's boiling, so time to make that cup of tea.